to the Nigerian and Diaspora organization, NIDO Radio. This is the Governor Gist Show. And we also have sponsorship for Wellness and Wahala podcast, which I'm also a host. And for the Governor Gist Show, my name is Dr. Tope, better known as Ama Aba, and I am a doctor of public health and also the PRO, the Public Relations Officer for NIDO South Savannah chapter. And I have my co-host here, Mr. Collins Chooks. Over to you. You're on mute.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry. I like to mute because my kids keep running up and down on the background. Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Tommy. Thank you so much. And good morning, sir. Good morning, our honorable chairman of the BOT of NIDO Americas, Engineer Tope Esan. We're so pleased to have you here this morning to discuss about issues affecting NIDO and as well as Nigerian diaspora. Thank you very much. And my name is Collins C. Kibuano. I currently work with Gulfstream Aerospace, and I've been with the company for over 10 years, and I love what I do. Aviation is pretty much what breathes in me, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dr. Tony, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. So over to you, our honorable BOT chairman and of NIDO's in Diaspora, Nigerians in Diaspora organization. Over to you, Sa, to introduce yourself and let us know how you became, BOT chairman. What is BOT? What is NIDO? Over to you, Sa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Toby and Honorable Collins. So I'm an engineer by profession. I worked in Shell for 16 years and TransCanada for 11 years. But I'm now what I call retired, but not tired. So I was in the oil and gas business for 26 years. I was in Nigeria for 15 years, then Netherlands, then Calgary. So what I do now is just to support my wife in her business. So NIDO, I joined NIDO when I came to Calgary in 2009. I came in 2006 and I joined in 2009. And I became an executive in 2010. So in 2014, I became the president of NIDO in Calgary. And I was the president for 4 years. So we hosted the World Conference. And really, when I look at NIDO, because we have different local associations in Calgary, in Canada, what's unique about NIDO is the fact that it gives me a relationship back home, right? And the reason I joined NIDO is because I can give back through NIDO. And I see it as a vehicle also for a change in Nigeria. So that's the main reason why I joined NIDO. And I was in BOT in 2004 to 2005 to 2007. That's the Board of Trustees of NIDO, which is the highest making decision body of NIDO. So the Board of Trustees is responsible for US, Canada, and Brazil. So when I looked at what was happening in NIDO in the past 4 years, I believe we were losing focus. So I decided to step up and actually contest for the BOT chairman. And here we are.
Thank you, Sal, for that overview, which leads me to my next, question to open up. You told us a background of history of NIDO. Can you go into the vision, and the mission specifically of NIDO's America? You have been very active, just like you said, you didn't step behind the scene. You saw that things were not really moving. NIDO was founded over 20 years ago. So we have many chapters, as you know. So can you speak on the vision and mission and, have we really stayed the course on NIDO and the history of, how did it even form? Why did it form? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. I think it was more or less initiated by the regime of Obasanjo. And And the whole idea is he saw a lot of diasporas that can actually help in nation building, you know. And if you remember, he brought a lot of diaspora in, like Okonjo Iweala. So he really believed in that. And the whole idea is, if we can get together, we can actually help in nation building. That was the basis of forming NIDO. And talking about the vision and mission. So really, I see it as twofold. The first one is, before we all came out of Nigeria, you know, to better our lives. And I've always said this, that was my focus when I became president of Calgary, that the first thing you have to do is we have to build ourselves in diaspora professionally. We've got to come together, we've got to help ourselves, we've got to, you know, develop ourselves and have a solid foundation here in diaspora. If we look at the Indians, the Chinese, we know what they do. You know, I'm sure it's the same thing in the US. Right. So to me, that's the first thing. We as Nigerians in diaspora, we really have to support ourselves and lift ourselves up. Then the second stage, although you can say it can happen as we are doing this, we can do that. But you have to have that solid foundation. Then you'll be looking at what can we really do to help Nigeria. Sincerely, I believe Nigeria has human resources. They have the people, no doubt. It's unfortunate that we don't have the leaders to really deploy the resources. They are not willing to. We know that. So I don't fool myself by saying that I know more than my colleagues back home. You know, we still have, our generation, I still believe, still have some good people back home, but it's because they've not been given opportunity to do what they're supposed to do. So I think the vision is, if we come together as one, you can imagine 5 million diaspora. We can actually bring a change to our country. We can facilitate a change, not even bring. So I say that the second part is building a greater Nigeria, just to summarize. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is a good one. And on that point that you just ended on, building a better Nigeria. As you know, we have the upcoming presidential elections coming up in 2023. And, you know, I really think that, you know, this is the season where us in the diaspora can really make a huge impact in not only transforming Nigeria, which is known as the Giant of Africa, but the entire Africa continent. When Nigeria fails, you know, Economic Commission of West African States, West Africa fails and Africa fails. So, and all eyes, the whole world are on, you know, looking on Nigeria. So I wanted to say, you know, as the new BOT chairman, we understand, you know, you have a tenure. What is your vision, your personal vision for, you know, this fiscal year? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to leave behind? And this year is a turning point, really, I think, for Nigeria. If we are able to do well and, you know, and elect the right leaders, it can really turn the trajectory of Nigeria, and we can be better, you know, than even look at Dubai. I mean, it's a lot of Nigerian investments in Dubai, and they really turned their nation around and within 5 to 10 year span, and it was through good leadership. So through your leadership as BOT chairman, I always say it starts, you know, change starts with just one person. You know, God can use just one to change generational and break generational, you know, wahala that we've been facing. This is over 2 decades. We've been trying to get it right. So how can you help us with your vision and to put us on the right pathway to success? Over to you.
Thanks. So when I contested, I had a manifesto which I call Changing the Narrative. And it was based on 3 legs. The first one was Grow NIDO base. The second was partnering with diaspora organizations, both local and international. And the third one is actually help entrench democracy in Nigeria. As you are well aware, NIDO is a non-political organization, but that does not mean we should be apolitical. Just put it that way. Okay? So the way I look at it, and I believe from a NIDO perspective, we can help educate the people. We are trying to go into partnering with the Congress of Professionals. They are really going to go about 2023. I believe change, just like you said, start with ourselves. But 2023 is quite critical. But having said that, I'm a realist. These people have been entrenched. They've spent money, they've spent time to somehow fool the populace, and the education is not there. So it's not going to happen overnight, but we are going to start. They say 1,000 miles start with a step. We are going to start, and we are actually starting by trying to educate, the people in Nigeria. And in terms of, and not only educate, even with our personal finances, we put in as much as we can. But, I think every one of us has a role to play in this. Even if it means calling our brothers and sisters at home. Your vote is your power, right? You can't afford to sell your vote. I think that is critical. In terms of holding political positions, I don't think officially NIDO members can do that. But I fully agree with you. We all have to partake in nation building. We've sat back too much. And I think we can be on the table with the government, no doubt. But we should be able to speak truth to it. Not to just, listen to them and do their will. Let me put it that way. I hope that answers your question.
It does that. And you talked about your 3-point agenda. But I just want to keep it real. So when we say apolitical, I tell people, as a former diplomat, and I still work for the top federal public health agency here in the U.S., and I've been a diplomat, posted and working throughout, Africa. And my last diplomatic post was at the U.S. Embassy for the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief Program in the Caribbean region, based in Jamaica. So politics is in everything that we do. So just like you said, it's not apolitical, but we must be able to influence the politics to ensure that we get those leaders. So it gets me to my next question. As you're aware, Sa, and you've been very supportive, we've started a Diaspora voting bill petition. We have over 300 people that have signed globally in the diaspora and all over the world, even back at home in Nigeria, to pass this diaspora voting bill. The thing is, if we don't have, in all the work that we do, if we cannot vote and we cannot influence policy, otitan, as they say in Yoruba, it is finished. You understand? We cannot, all our actions will not be able to manifest and truly be implemented if we cannot do absentee voting. Every year we contribute, the World Bank says, about $30 billion. I'm pretty sure it's more, but $30 billion. That's here in the U.S. And I'm pretty sure, when you talk about Nigerians in Canada, Germany, Europe, all over the world, is the amount is a lot. And we know how the economy is right now. My mom, she's retired. She's visiting Nigeria. Over 2 weeks now, it's been a blackout. She remembers in Nigeria where, they did have good electricity. They did have good leaders. She's half Yoruba, half Bini. I mean, that was in Nigeria. My dad and mom came with a federal government scholarship here. I always tell that story. And when they came, my dad came in 1979. He came and 1 naira was equivalent to 1 pound. So people were begging to be friends with Nigerians because our money was even worth more than dollars, US dollars. Now, $1 is about almost 600 naira. So, and this just happened in Isaiah 79, we're in 2022. So this happened, and I'm 40. So So this this happened in 42 years that our economy and everything has crashed. So how can we advocate as an organization to make sure that many of the Nigerians in diaspora organization leaders, including you, sir, are well connected with senators, with House of Rep, with people, local government chairmen, people at the local level, at the LGA level, at the state level, in your own state. Do you understand? And then at the federal level. And I'm saying it to be piecemeal. Nigeria is a very big nation. It's 36 states, 6 geographical zones. But I always say take it one at a time. So if you, sir, are from, one state, you say, okay, we're going to target from me. So if we say NIDO consists of members all over our membership, we have thousands of members, right? And I'm pretty sure that each of our membership, we have representatives that are indigents of each of those 36 states. So if we take Collins, Mr. Collins, you're from Anambra, and I say, okay, that if they pass the diaspora voting bill, we want to be able to influence and ensure that at all the LGAs in Anambra, to the governor, to the senator, to the House of Rep, that, because if you can't even do well in your state level, diplomatically and local level, you can't even reach that federal level. Then we now take it up a notch to federal level. Then we now take it to regional level, ECOWAS level. Then we now take it to continental level, African Union. That's our God-given name as the giants of Africa. It's not that, just like you said, you touched on the key point that the human resources, we are blessed. We are the most populated African nation. That's one. Then 2, natural resources. We are blessed. The problem is we're over-blessed. That's probably part of the curse. Because when you're too comfortable, when you're too blessed, but now people are reaching their breaking point. There's no light. The economy is crashed. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. Wahala, they happen. So, and these are the same wahalas that, Fela Kuti, so many people sung about, very prophetic, and it's still happening now. So as the BOT chairman, how can we, because as I know, as I'm going back to the point of, being a diplomat and rolling with a lot of people that's in policy, even as a citizen, as an active citizen, whether you're in policies or not, you have a right to hold your government leaders accountable. They are public servants. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, they think that we're serving them. We must beg them to do their work. No. And many of these candidates that have done nonsense in the past couple of years, they're even coming out again for this new election. They're bold enough to be like, maybe they think that Nigerians, we have memory loss. And they have not did anything. People are dying. Healthcare is bad. Education system. And we are privileged because we have been able to be in the diaspora. But at the end of the day, there's no place like home, sir. We cannot forget home because we have our children's children. They will hold us accountable and say, how do we leave back at home, sir? So over to you to really talk about how we're going to really practicalize those 3 steps, that vision that you have, if we can really even vote and have influence on policy. Over to you.
Thanks. So, Dr. Tomi, I think about a month ago, you sent out this change voting right, and you just said 300. Actually, when I first heard you said 300 at the meeting we attended, I was shocked, sincerely, because right now we should be talking of 300,000 if we are really serious people. And that tells me that the followership also now has a problem. It seems we don't care, what will, even in diaspora, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, that tells me something that we need a lot of education. Even in diaspora, you thought that we call ourselves the giant of Africa. We know Ghana down there is better than us today. And the same thing applies to NIDO, because I always like to draw parallel. When we talk about NIDO, we say we are representing the diaspora. How many are we? We are less than 500 or maximum 1,000. Put everything together in a population of over 1 million in Americas. Okay? So, to me, that is the problem has eaten into the followership. And we need to start educating the followership, right? And when Congress of Professionals comes about this world system, we need to start partaking in politics. We've left politics believing that it's for, people on the street. The professionals have left politics to those that don't even have ideas. They're just interested in, they're self-sufficient. So where we are today, because we think politics is just for riffraff. And they are the one ruling us. They are the one that have taken us to this position. Okay? And to me, the where you can have the most influence and the what I call self-actualization, it's more or less when you are involved. I won't say politics in governance. You have an opportunity to do something for 5 million people. That's the mentality we should have as a people. So to me, we have to do a lot of education. It's not going to happen overnight, but we need to continue. And that's why I'm so gung-ho about this Congress of Professionals. Some of us are not on ground. And when you say having connection with ministers, I'm skeptical to some extent. Because at the end of the day, when you start being in the same bed with these people, you start corrupting. So I come from a radical perspective that we can actually sensitize the populace to know how to remove these leaders, to know how to elect the right leaders. Okay? And you have to start from the ward. I have a very close friend in Nigeria, very well to do, and he has always been clamoring, let us go back to our ward and start partaking in those meetings and start educating people. So, sincerely, as chairman of BOT, there are so many battles to be fought. And sincerely, when you take too many battles, you tend not to lose one. So, as much as I agree that we need that change and we are going to pursue it, my focus is, as diaspora, do we really have that base? Savannah is doing a great job. I tell you, you are doing a great job. You have the populace. There are some people that call themselves leaders in NIDO, and it's one or two of them in their city. I ask myself, who are we fooling here? Right? If we really mobilize the diaspora, like your voting right, if Buhari says today that 3 million people have signed it, won't he listen? When I talk to someone and I know that I don't have the leverage for that person to listen to me, I will go and look for that leverage instead of continuing to talk and just waste my time. So we need that leverage. The federal government today, how do they see NIDO? They know we are divided. Let's just face it. They know we are just giant of Africa without any teeth. So we need to step back and build that as soon as possible while we're educating and partnering. So to me, it's quite clear in my mind. Even if we have the name. If we don't have the wherewithal now, we can partner with professional organizations to actually continue to pursue the objective of changing Nigeria. So to me, we need to really sit back and not be the Nigeria in diaspora, to put it that way. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very, very much. It's quite interesting that you actually touched on the question which I have for you as regards to recruitment of members, recruiting members to join NIDO. You mentioned about the MOU or the ongoing negotiation and communication between you and the Congress of Professionals. I would like to know, in America, I know there are over 500,000 Nigerians, professionals in different sectors, and I believe they all have different professional organizations. Is there anything that Nigerian in diaspora doing? Is there any roadmap to reach out to these professional organizations and have an open-heart conversation with them and ask them, why don't we partner? We are all going for, sorry, Alexa, stop. We're all going for one aim and one vision. We all want a better Nigeria.
Exactly.
Is there a possibility that you can still keep your professional organization going and form a partnership with NIDO? Let's build a sustainable Nigeria. Not just professional organizations, as much as also Nigerian students. There's a lot of Nigerian students that will eventually graduate from school and become professionals. What are the plans of NIDO? Do they have any plans to reach out to those students in different schools to be able to form partnership, to enlighten them about NIDO, the essence of NIDO, and how they can participate? Because I'll tell you the truth, there's a lot that we're missing. There is absolutely a lot that we are missing. Unfortunately, back home, they do not appreciate the effort and the innovative ideas of our youths, because it has always been our fathers knows the best for us. But look at most of the billionaires in the world today are youths, innovative ideas. People that came from nothing, but they were able to make something out of nothing. What is NIDO doing? Are we going to tap into those potentials that we have? Is it possible that we can accept our youth, students into the organizations and give them a platform to excel? You know, these are the things that actually I thought about. I said, I think I will better throw it out and see if there's anything that NIDO is doing in order to incorporate all these organizations to be able to form a society. Like you mentioned something about, we sent out a petition on Diaspora putting 500,000 professional Nigerians and we only have about 300. Absolutely. It's a question that we have to ask ourselves. Is there really a common goal, or are we just playing and tomorrow we complain about issues in Nigeria? You know, and my last question will also be is, as the new BOT chairman, I know it's no more business as usual. You're a man of your words and you came with new ideas. Is there any plan for you and the BOT and the BOD to participate and boost other NIDO chapters? What are your plans to engage other NIDO chapters? What are your plans to open up other NIDO chapters? And what are your plans to be able to incorporate, make sure that as a NIDO member, wherever city you are, you can be able to attend the NIDO meeting and be able to contribute, because we're all for one reason, one vision, and one mission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You touched on so many things, and thanks for doing that. Yeah, let me first talk about strategic partnership. So we have committees that we formed to pursue 2022 goals, just like leadership is all about us. So we have Grow NIDO A base, and what they are doing now in Grow NIDO A base is they are reaching out to Nigerians. We had, like in Canada, we had some NIDO A chapters that had to go under because of the lawsuit. So what they are doing is to touch base with those people and trying to bring them back. The same thing in US. Mrs. Edoja is leading that. So we have a committee on that in terms of expanding to other chapters. On strategic partnership, very valid point, and that's why there was a committee set up on what if you look at it, is called Giving Back to Nigeria as Strategic Partnership. And that strategic partnership is actually to look into partnering with professional organizations. Like, we know nurses today is in high demand in Americas, okay? If we really partner with, let's say, American nurses or Canadian nurses, and they can put some training in place for nurses in Nigeria so that it makes it easier for them to become, international workers that they can easily get. So, sincerely, all those things are in place. All those ideas are in place. Is it moving as fast as I want? No. I won't, is it going as fast as I want? No. Because, I don't want to keep repeating this. We have too many people all over the place in terms of division. But those ideas that you've just said, they were turned into committees to work this out. And if you look at the goals that we set out in 2022, they address those things. But are we going at the pace I want? Probably not. But we really need to come together and move this in the right direction. And you said something about the youth. I didn't want to contest for the chairmanship of youth. I can tell you this. I approached somebody that is just about 32, and I said, why don't we support you as chairman of youth? And it was in beauty, but he initially accepted, but he pulled back. And when I look at everything, I attended the NIDO worldwide, and this is sad because I'm probably one of the youngest, and I'm closer to 60. You understand what I'm saying? And I asked myself, most people there are in their 60s, their 70s, and I asked myself, is this not Nigeria repeating itself? Where are the young people that can drive this organization to success? So to me, it has to be a complete shift. We need to be intentional about this. That we need to clear people like me. Now, we will be there as advisors, but not running the organization. To me, that's clear in my mind. And and I always say this. When you bring 10 Nigerians together, we always talk about the same thing. We have all the solutions. But to take that step of implementation, of making it happen, we struggle. Okay? And I see, so to me, we need to really be intentional about bringing the youth in. About the student, we have a student chapter, not a student chapter. We are partnering with the University of Calgary students here at NIDO. They've just invited us to a gala. We sponsor a lot of things. Because, and the local chapters have to do that. We had a meeting with the presidents of the chapter last Sunday. And what we've requested is, can you just let us have your chapter members on a quarterly basis? Let's have that, and let's know whether you are growing or not. A lot of people sit as president, and there is no, because I can motivate people, I can send out policies and everything, but the chapters have to own this. And that's what we have to try and do, to push a lot of things to the chapter. Your local thing. If you are 20 today, in the next 3 months, let's try and be 25. Set those targets. If we don't set those targets, we won't get anything achieved. So sincerely, I had a lot of expectations when I came in, and I thought I could move things as fast as I want. It's not moving as fast as I want, but I still believe we're on the right track. We just need to, somehow push it a little bit up. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. I think you covered a lot of our questions that we wanted to ask through your responses. But just as a follow-up, as a rebuttal, you said, the power of partnership. I like how in Calgary, you're reaching out to some of the students at the universities. When I was at the University of Illinois, I was a founder of my African Student Union. They had Asian Student Union, Latino. They didn't have one for Africa. And I know that a lot of these universities here have already established African student unions where we can draw on their membership. But I wanted to bring something, that a rebuttal, just an opposition point that, somebody raised to me recently when I was asking them to join NIDO, And even I'm also part of the CDC employee organization called Organization of African Public Health Professionals. And we started about 5 years ago, and just trying to get more members, active members, because it's one thing to try to get members to join, and then for them to be active and take on, leadership roles, join some committees, make some change, because we can't do it alone. The power of partnership, so let's say you have a health committee. We have health professionals that are there. There's Nigerian Nurses Association, Doctors Association. Those committees should be partnering with those organizations so they can do, medical mission trips back at home, even if it's once a year and things like that. So people are already doing it. But the thing is the power of us coming together. And the rebuttal, the opposition that I had, it was like, oh, look, NIDO has been around 20 years. A lot of these organizations, they've been saying this thing. They have a good mission, a good work plan, but we have not seen it come to place. And many times when a few of us get together, fights happen because people are not united by the united vision that we have. And all of us, regardless of the organization that it is, we all have a united mission for a better Nigeria, point blank. Yeah. But a lot of us get distracted. And, she now said, how can we, break that type of, and she said it's not just in Nigeria. The lady that actually brought this up, she's actually from Ethiopia, and she said that, and Ethiopia is in crisis right now. People are talking about Ukraine and Russia crisis. They've been having crisis for a while. They're not covering that and what's going in Sudan. And then even most recently that, I wanted to touch on that really hurt. And for our listeners that are listening to Nigerian and Diaspora Radio that will listen to this show, Governor's Just show, they're going to bring up, how many people were just killed, terrorists on the train track. People were now even using the wrong word, bandits, or people, just hijack us. No, they're terrorists, and they're political terrorists. One person even came out that a military soldier caught, and he confessed, and he said that, these AK-47, that, they rear cows. They don't know anything about guns. They were supplied by some political leaders because of the political agenda, and they wanted to shed blood because they need sacrifice for the upcoming election. So I cannot sit here, and one of the ladies that died that was on the train, she was coming from the Kaduna. She was a doctor. I'm going to tell this story because they hit me. You understand? I was born and raised in the U.S. My parents came here on Nigerian federal government scholarship when Nigeria was good. Many people used to be like, Tommy, just give up. I'm not somebody that actually has the background of you were born there, then you came here to the diaspora. I was born. So I really can say, you know what? I don't care, and I have every right because I'm a first generation American. So I can say, I don't have any ties. But I love my parents, my mother and father, the way they raised us. And they all gave us, many people were changing their children's name to English name. No, they gave me Oluwatomiloba, Uwahen, my Bini name. I'm proud. Yes, I have my English Christian name, Mercy. But that, they know me, my official name, even at work, Oluwatomiloba. I said, call me Tommy for short. So this doctor got admission, worked hard, and said, Nigeria is not helping her. Let her go abroad. And she bought a train ticket so she can board a flight in Abuja from Kaduna to Abuja. And she was one of the people that were killed on the plane. And on the train, when she was tweeting on social media, when they hijacked the train, that, there's terrorists here, please send help. People were saying, she was lying. She's doing it for clout. She wants to go viral. And then somebody, when she now died, and they were like, you didn't hear from her because she died. And you see that so even when they don't even value life. And this is somebody, maybe she spent all her savings to apply to go abroad. She didn't even have enough money, to chata car or, like people that have money by road, they'll do car hire. They say, look, let me take the train. So she probably used all the small naira that she had left because she spent all her money applying to try to get admission to go abroad, got the admission, and then on her way to getting to the diaspora and trying to catch a plane, and in Abuja, she got killed. And that's just one of so many other stories. So, sir, once again, I love what you said. We have committees, we have this, but the opposition, the people are saying that, look, and it's not just Nigerians. That's why I said we're the giant of Africa. This was an Ethiopian actually that made the comment and said that why can't we come together and unite? Just like you said, we started this petition. Only 300. Even if it's just NIDO members alone, we should already have thousands, sir. You understand? So that just to show you we're not really united in NIDO. So when I came in, even for my organization, and that's why I said I'm putting it back on you, sir, to really hold all these executive members accountable and say, look, if you don't want to, you need to step down. This is not business as usual. We have people that can come and do the right thing. I tell people, I said, even when I came to NIDO, it was actually one of my friends that is also part of my CDC organization of African Pub. She saw the work that I was doing and she said, I said, please, I don't even want, do you understand? I said, I like to work behind the scenes. I don't, I'll do work, create flyers, send out stuff and everything. And then I like to be like a ghost writer. Nobody knows me. I don't want to get involved in any type of wahala because of the historical, do you understand, drama and history. And once she now saw me, she said, please, I want to tell you about NIDO. She's been telling me for months to join NIDO. I said, no, that I'm okay, that I can help you, whatever you need help with though. So for months, even the president, Mr. Collins, VP, he never even knew me. I was helping Ada in the background. And then later they now said, we need to know who this person is, And then I now said, okay, let me, because, and I'm going to be honest, I was very, very hurt. I mean, it really grieves my soul when, I've worked in Nigeria, in Abuja. I've been to probably 20 out of the 36 states, when it comes to public health and with the U.S. government for our HIV and TB and infectious disease program helping. And it just grieves me because I know that we can do so much better. It grieves my soul. Yes, I can be comfortable. So you retire. You are an engineer. I mean, come on. Collins, you work in the aviation ministry. I have to be real, and apologies for being emotional, but I really, really, salute and honor you, Sal, because you have an agenda. You want to see things change, but it takes the power of unity. And if we are not even united within NIDO, so if we use you as a template, we here too in America should be like, okay, we should partner with all the universities in our state. Get the Nigerian students involved. It doesn't even have to be Nigerian students. There's a lot of Americans, there's a lot of Canadians that are married to Nigerians that are equally as passionate. Do you understand? So even in our organization, we said it because people were like, oh, is this only for African public health people or only for Nigerians? No, it's for people that have a love for Nigeria. You understand? There's a lot of expats, diplomats, retired, people that I'm telling you, they will love to engage with us. There's a lot of youth. There's a lot of professors. There's people that are married. You understand? 2 people that are Nigerians, and they have those expertise where they can join us. So, and you said one thing that was key when you went to one of those conferences. You were one of the youngest people there, So when I go into a conference, even when I'm invited to a meeting, and that's even, I'm telling you, even here, when you get to a high level diplomatic role. When I first started, I was the youngest diplomat. So I was only 23. I was the only woman in the room with the ambassadors, ministers, and all that. And I was the only black woman. You understand? So to see this 23-year-old, they're like, Minister of Health asking, who is this? Is this the PA? I said, what is PA? I was like, physician assistant. I said, no. I said that, I'm the deputy. They said, what? This small girl? You understand, sir? So how can we really practicalize the vision that you have? Because people are dying. People, Mr. Collins, VP, you sent me a video. It was one representative. I don't know who he is, but we need to reach out. I didn't even know that we have people like that still exist in Nigeria. And
Smart
Adeyemi. He cursed out all of them, House of Reps senators. He said, do you know how many people just died on the train? That God is going to hold us accountable. People are dying. People are hungry. People that come out of school, PhD, because they have no connections. They can't go abroad. They have no jobs. And then they wonder why people go into 419. A hungry mind is an angry mind. If you got to feed your family, you can't get a job, then you're going to end up doing things that are illegal because they're going to be like, oh, well, our politicians don't care. They've been stealing money. So let me go the bad route. So why I say this year is very crucial. I wanted to bring up another point, sir, because I always follow diplomatic foreign affairs. I always tell people, follow the money. If Nigeria was not important, why is the U.S. government spending $95 million? They're building the new consulate in Lagos now, and it's going to be the biggest consulate, biggest embassy that the U.S. government has ever built. 10-story building, and they're spending $95 million, and they're going to have subcontractors, a lot of Nigerian contractors. One of my uncles that's into IT and everything, I said, look, you need to start looking at these contracts that are coming out. Same thing with Canadian government. I know they have Canadian International Development Agency. They have a high commission there. British people, the Nigerians in the diaspora. We need to follow the money. If we weren't important, why would they be putting $95 million? How can we be valued more for foreign? They have a lot of foreign investments in Nigeria, but our diaspora contribution, foreign investment, direct investments, is about, let's say, $5 billion a year. Ours, the money that we spend at home is $30 billion. So why can, if I'm a U.S. ambassador and I say, oh, I have $5 billion to invest in Nigeria, she can get a meeting with the president. But us, we invest $30 billion, and the PA will be doing us up and down, and we cannot get a meeting. Why is that? So once again, it goes back to policies, but more important, we have to be united. And I thank God for you and for your leadership, your vision, your 3-point agenda. I tell people, I said, we don't have to do a lot. That's what I say. You pick top 3. We have plenty of things to do, but we can say, oh, in this top 3 agenda, this is what we're going to focus on, and this is how we're going to do it. But I want you to give us practical steps. So as we conclude, what is the next step? What is your call to action? Internally, to us NIDO members that are active and inactive, and externally to people that we can partner with and other Nigerians. And you don't have to be a Nigerian. Those that have a love for Nigeria and Africa, that are Nigerian affiliates. How can we engage them? What is our call to action? What should be our next step moving forward? Over to you, sir.
Okay. Just before I go into that, you mentioned a few things that I would like to say one or two things. So I tell people that out of every 5 black men in the world, Nigeria is one. Okay. And there is nobody that will neglect a population of over 200 million. Okay. So that's why we will still have all these countries going to invest in Nigeria. But we know that none of these countries can really develop or help develop Nigeria. It has to be Nigerians. We know that. And people do feed on a division. Okay? And that's also happening in Nigeria. I've not been to court in my life, but some months ago, since I became Nigeria chairman, I've been to court twice. And I've sat in one all day and the other for 3 hours. And I asked myself, instead of staying here, I should be doing better things with my life. The Caucasian judge was even insulting us. Now, you guys, don't you have better time than fighting amongst yourself? Can't you pursue the mission and vision of this place? So there is no doubt that we are being impeded. After having said that, call to action for me is quite clear. We need the critical mass to be relevant. We need the critical mass to be relevant. In our meeting, that was, and we are going to issue a communique, that was what we told the president. We've set out to have 3 more chapters, which to me is a small thing, but you need to start with 1. We have an ambition of having 3 more chapters in US, at least 1 in Brazil, 1 in Canada. That's what the committee set up. Okay, let's start with that, but that's even little because we know we have a lot of Nigerians all over the place. We are talking about how do we, in terms of the medical association, because Dr. Yusuf in Brazil is working on that and going back to Nigeria once in a while. But most importantly, how do I have a relationship with these people that they can even be a part of NIDO? All those things, I can tell you, are in works. And those are the things, and that's why we met with the chapter presidents. because we all have a role to play with this. So we had a meeting last Sunday, and we shared that, and I was happy with Prof. Joseph, because there were some clear, actionable things that he put forward that we're going to work on. So yeah, it's a tough place to be, but I think we have to be tougher, and I have to be tougher about it. So I would say that I hope to be back in probably some months and say, okay, these are additional things that we've done or we've put in place.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Sorry, Dr. Tommy, if I may add into that what you just said about the embassy, the U.S. government, the contract is actually $537 million. The largest embassy that the U.S. is going to build outside, anywhere in the world.
537, and that 95 million is actually going to
direct money.
That's direct money that will go to Nigeria.
2,000 jobs.
Exactly. That will create 2,000 jobs through like local subcontractors. So the 530 something million is allocated over a couple of years. I think they want to complete it in 2027 in 5 years, and they have three prime contractors. One is in Illinois, and then I think the other two in New York. That's the architect and builders. So going back to, I'm happy that you brought that up, Mr. Collins. One of the things that I see us as NIDO is that for us to be able to move this side, we need a lot of funding and infrastructure. For example, a lot of these grants are posted publicly. We have architects here in NIDO. We have builders, professional builders here in NIDO that have worked even with these top federal government agencies that are retired, that, some of them even work in the private sector, are established architects. My uncle Giwamu Shegun, he has a big one in Illinois. If they even knew about this type of thing, wouldn't it be such pride that a member of NIDO was able to win that $537 million contract? You understand? Even if they're partnering with another Oimbo, company, but they are the main prime contractor. That's what you call the prime, the main one. Then that 95 million additional is the local subcontractors that they will employ, in Nigeria for like transportation, logistics, IT, other things, people that will do the artwork, inside the embassy and stuff. So those are the local contractors. But we can actually be a prime contractor. So that's what I also see. That's why I tell people, follow the money. When you have, that's how you can influence power. Not just being in a position of power, as we are members, active members in NIDO, but we have to be able to influence policy. And just like you said, we can't even get meetings with some of these people if we don't say, okay, this is what we're bringing to the table. If we would go and say, call the Aso Rock and say, oh, NIDO contractors, you understand, architects, just won 500 something million to help build the biggest and most expensive embassy in Lagos. Would they not give us a meeting? So they will be calling us. Matter of fact, we don't even have to call them. They'll be begging us.
Do you know what, Tommy, when you sent out the voting thing, and I sent it out, somebody sent a note and said, this is an impostor. This should be done. Were you not aware? Somebody sent a note to other Nigerians. Don't do this vote. This is an impostor. This should be done by NIDO worldwide. So that's the kind of mentality you ask yourself. When somebody asked me, I said, look, my father used to have a proverb that if a man sees snakes and a woman kills it, the most important thing is that snake is dead. So whether it's NIDO Savannah or NIDO thing that sent out this thing, is this a worthy cause? So those are part of the things. And you talked about this. I can tell you, if three of us say, NIDO, we must have this architect NIDO, you will have some people standing up and say, they are not the correct NIDO. Mm-hmm. Don't mind them. Let me ask you, said you took some time, and this is very important, before you join NIDO. I ask myself, if I'm looking from outside and I'm looking in, Do I really want to belong to this organization the way we are? Probably not. But you are in now and you could see the potential of the organization.
I can see the potential side, but you know what I did? I'll be honest with you. So I always tell people, whatever happens in the physical, that's my faith. I always angle it from I always start with the spiritual, so it can manifest well. So I prayed. So I told her, I said, look, I'm going to think about this for months. And the message that I got, from God clearly was that told me, I think I'm the youngest and first ever Nigerian American, 23, to have a diplomatic passport, not official passport. We have civilian passport, official, diplomatic, top secret. I mean, I'm a first generation American. It's never been done. So I'm used to being trailblazers. When I was at my African, when I was at University of Illinois, predominantly white school, I said, we don't have an African student union. I said, okay, me and my friend that's Ghanaian and my sister, we started the African Cultural Association, our African student union for Africans and Caribbeans. So me, I don't shy away from, it's never been done, or there's been Wahala before. When we registered the African Student Union, the lady told us, is this going to last? A Nigerian student organization started about a year ago, but they fought and broke up. So it didn't last. A Ghanaian one happened, an Ethiopian one. I said, well, we are doing, and that, the theme, when I found it and I prayed that year, and I said, our theme for the year will be Africa Unites. That thing, we will not break up. You understand? The lady, as we were registering, as they register white sororities and fraternities and everything, she said, look, that I don't know how this is going to last, because people have tried it before. So I like a challenge. You understand? That's one of my gifts. God says, you come into a situation, there's Wahala, you're a problem solver. That's what I even do for the government that I come in. They say, Tomi comes in, she's going to find a solution, because there's nothing that's new under the sun. But I always tell people my secret sauce is my faith. I take it to God in prayer. And he reminded me that you're an ambassador for Christ. Some people don't know what an ambassador is. You understand? I said that is the top level diplomat. So if I'm an ambassador for Christ, I represent the kingdom of God here on earth as it is in heaven. And even us in the diaspora, we are an ambassador for Nigeria here in the diaspora. You understand? So God has given us two nations. So when you go out, if you have two passports, Canada and Nigeria, you are actually representatives. Do you understand? Diplomatic representative. Whatever you do, you're given a name, either good or bad. Do you understand? To your Canadian citizenship and your Nigerian citizenship, because we're dual citizens, right? So in that case, and I now say, okay, I looked at it and he now took it to, so when God talks to me, it's like, we're having a conversation like here, he broke it down. He said, okay, I gave you two nations. That's in your hands, U.S. and Nigeria. And then he said, but you have a third one, which is the kingdom of God. So you cannot be looking from the outside in. You have certain skill sets. And there's certain things that you can do. And if you do not do them, I will hold you accountable. So that's why I said from the spiritual side. So I could not go to sleep. And I said, wow. I said, and it's true, because many of us, we stand on the sidelines, and it's very, doing this, we have to get out of our comfort zone. So you just said it, you're an engineer, you're very comfortable. Mr. Collins, he's the AV. All of us, we're very comfortable to stay in our comfort zone, do what we need to do. We don't really need to do nothing. Even the stuff that we've done in the past for, our community, I can say, and I was trying to put God in remembrance, like, but God, I've done this, I've done that. He said, no, but you can do more. And I gave you, because all of us have a unique goal. We were created for such a time as this. There's no other engineer, Tope, Esan. There's nobody. There's no other Collins Chooks. There's no other. God created you specifically for such a time as this to solve some problems. So to use your time, your talent, and your treasure. So I looked at it like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? How can I? So it goes back to forget all my titles. When people come, Doctor told me that. No, the most important title at the end of the day, I want people to say, especially more importantly, God, my Father, and say, well done, good and faithful servant. You have served your people well in America, in Nigeria, in the nations that have given you. God has given you nations. Do you understand? So he's looking, because you're an ambassador for Christ, right? So you represent nations. So that's the way God talks to me, because maybe because of my diplomatic, God will talk to you based off of your understanding. If you're a farmer, he will talk to you from an agricultural point of view. If you're a physician, like Luke in the Bible, he was a doctor, so he talked to me at that diplomatic level. He said, look,
it's one of the biggest hurdles that we all see and experience when dealing with issues pertaining Nigeria. Like you said, I strongly encourage everybody to come and participate. I used to tell people that it's been long that I sit at the comfort of my home on a WhatsApp on uninterrupted network and type 2 or 3 pages of issues or how Nigerians can be done. And after that, I will turn around and take a glass of Hennessy and watch ESPN or NFL or whatever, and that's the end of it. But it got to a point that I looked at my 2 daughters, my 2 most beautiful daughters, and I said one day they're going to ask, Daddy, why is it that your country is like this and we are living like this? And it's something that really touches me, and I have a passion for it, that I want my kids to grow up and visit the country where their parents, where their father actually came from, and to be proud of it. And that's one of the main reasons why I decided that I'm not going to be a bystander anymore. I have to get involved. I have to, sit up tight and get into that ring and fight the battle. And thank God it's a calling that I have. And I believe that God is slowly bringing like-minded individuals that really wants to address Nigerian issues together. Because what I always tell my fellow professionals that I meet and across, and I tell them all the time, I say, we all have families out here in America doing very well, living comfortably. But then again, we have extended families that are back home in Nigeria that are experiencing difficulties. You can tell me you will turn a blind eye on it. I said, if Nigerian problem doesn't affect you directly, it affects you indirectly. I can't tell you lies. I work in an organization whereby I'm the only Nigerian probably in that the whole entire 3 departments in the aerospace industry. And if anything that happens to Nigeria, immediately I walk into the office, I will have at least about 10 or 15 people that will come by my office and say, Mr. Collins, did you saw the news about Nigeria? What is going on there? So I can't hide. It's not something for me to hide. It's not something I derive pleasure in. And people that work for me also, they also ask me the same question. When they look at me and look at my work ethics and what I do, then they look at my country and they say, what is really going on there? Is something really good? Are they all right? So, like I always tell people, our problem affects us directly or indirectly. And like I say, please, Mr. Chairman have said it out. He said, don't look from the outside, participate, come and be a member. Bring your ideas, and that's how we can move this country forward. Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman, for your time. I know it's very precious. I had to be able to, plead on your behalf, but you have always made yourself very available to us. Thank you for what you do. We're here to support you. We are here to move that mountain with you. We are here to create that awareness. You have our back and we have your back, and we will always be here to support. Thank you so much, Dr. Tope, for all that you do. It's quite a pleasure knowing who you are and the passion that you have. Not for the fact that, being a first-generation American, you could care less about what is going on back home. But you have really stepped up and carried that battle and the mantle, no matter whatever it takes. Thank you so much. And thank you very much.
Thank you,
Dr. Tope and Collins. And I'm really looking forward to you guys, stepping up to a lot of. I see future. And when I see people like you, and I have people like that also in some POT, some young people, sincerely, that's where I draw my inspiration from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this comes to the end of the meeting. Let me go ahead and close it out, please.
Thank you, Honorable. Once again, I think VP, you already said it. We have your back. I know you have our back. And as you started, our mission is for a better Nigeria. So, God bless you. God bless all the Nigerians in the diaspora. And God bless all of our people back at home in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we are working together, and we will continue to unite. And we call on everybody that's listening to call and to join us. You can reach us on social media. You can reach us on NIDO Radio. In the profile, I'll also drop our link. Come and partner with us for a better Nigeria. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.